Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Look at this headline from you today. XRP loses 10%, drops below Binance's stablecoin by market cap. And indeed, XRP has dropped from number 6 to the number 7 position in terms of market cap. But really, the entire world of crypto has taken an absolute beating over the last 24 hours. Just an incredibly sharp market downturn. But I'm going to explain to you why I don't find this the least bit alarming. I really, truly don't. I'm going to knock that idea out at the very first part of the video, and then I have perspective from a number of individuals in the space, some of which seem very excited for the future and also view this current dip as a buying opportunity. But most cryptocurrencies, especially those in the top 10, for most of the last 24 hours, they've been down somewhere in the neighborhood of 10%, some a little bit less, some a little bit more. So it's not just XRP that has taken a hit here. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, if you look on the right here, you can see where I'm circling if you're looking at the screen. This is the weekly chart for the top 10 cryptos by market cap. If you throw out all of the stable coins in the list, and there are, how many are in there now? So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yeah, there are 4 of the top 10 cryptos are by market cap are stable coins. But if you don't pay attention to them, look at the charts for the other 6. They all look the damn same. They all cratered at the exact same time. Right, and so XRP, it's down to 34 cents. Bitcoin's down to $21,102. Market cap for the asset class, 1.03 trillion. Bitcoin dominance taking a beating here, dropping down to 38.87%. Here's the crypto fear and greed index at 29 out of 100. So market participants are in fear. But it wasn't just within the last few days. It's sitting at 46. My, how 46 out of 100, now down to 29 out of 100. My, how quickly things changed, right? Oh, the emotions. Can you imagine behaving like this, or feeling these emotions, actually feeling these emotions? Because you know that for so many people, these emotions result in making important financial decisions based on emotion rather than logic and reason. That's not a good idea. So let me tell you why I'm not scared. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I want to focus on one in particular. This doesn't mean that something is wrong with whatever your favorite crypto is, which dropped, has nothing to do. Certainly nothing is going wrong with XRP. We've had nothing but positive news. In fact, I just put out a video highlighting that a bank actually is utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. The first bank in history that we publicly know of anyway, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. So what happened here? Well, it's another case of the crypto asset class, which, by the way, moves in tandem. It's the crypto asset class also moving in tandem with stocks. In fact, look at the S&P 500. This is a 5-day chart. And you can see at the beginning of today, the 19th, it just cratered. That's what happened to crypto too. Okay, this is not the fact that crypto went down has nothing to do with there being a problem in the world of crypto specifically. This is the S&P 500 index. You can take a look. Here's a 5-day chart for the Dow Jones. Same thing. It just fell off a cliff. Starting today, Friday. So like you look at this and you just realize it's just emotional people making emotional decisions. And so you might look at that and then recognize, I guess it doesn't make sense to be fearful. That's what I think anyway. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold. I don't know your personal position. I'd never want that type of responsibility. You do whatever you want. I'm just telling you my opinion. So I'm going to continue sitting here and doing nothing because none of this matters at all. Now, that being said, I've been warning that there can be instances with the tumultuous world of global economics, let's say. There could be a wild card scenario that could result, in theory, of things getting much, much worse. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm not a doomsday type of guy, but it's a weird environment out there. And Twitter account TXMC, which this guy actually formerly was with on-chain analytics firm Glassnode, which I think is a fantastic firm. I highlight their stuff pretty regularly on my channel. He tweeted out more layoffs inbound per a nationwide poll of executives, and it linked to a Bloomberg article titled, "Layoffs are in the works at half of companies PwC survey shows." And I'm not going to read the article. I'm just pointing out here that, zoom out, look on a macro scale here, there's a chance things could, in theory, get a lot worse. I don't subscribe to like this doomsday scenario. And even if things really took a beating, and even if Bitcoin went below its most recent low of about 17,500, like the lower it gets, the more excited I'm going to get. I know people will be losing their ever-loving minds and panicking. If that happens, and if it actually went low enough, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it did, I'm going to buy the ever-loving hell out of crypto. You better believe that. I do have capital on the side. I just didn't purchase as much with recent. I did purchase like on several different days, roughly, over the last few months as crypto has been tanking. But since my bags are already full, it's kind of, I viewed it as topping off. But yeah, if things get bad enough out there, to me, that's good. I'll view that as good, and I will take that opportunity because it doesn't matter. It's not about fundamentals. It's not like crypto is going away. It's not like the stock market's going away. What the hell do I care? It doesn't matter here. And then there's this headline from the Daily Hodl. Over $600 million in crypto liquidated as Bitcoin plunges by nearly 10% in matter of hours. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto assets are being liquidated as the leading digital asset Bitcoin sees a 10% plunge in its price. New data from market intelligence firm CoinGlass reveals that crypto positions worth approximately $601.2 million have evaporated over the past 24 hours amid a sharp downturn in the crypto markets. The positions affected most are related to Bitcoin, followed by top altcoin Ethereum. CoinGlass unveils that over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin positions worth $223.06 million have been wiped out, while the value of the liquidations in Ethereum positions is approximately $162.48 million. And they go on to cite that you had similar drops for XRP, and they named a bunch of other cryptos for which that is true. So it's a particularly large drop in a particularly short period of time. Such is life. It doesn't matter so far as I'm concerned personally. I'm a long-term thinker and holder, so I'm just saying. Now, here's what Raoul Pal had to say. Raoul Pal is a former Goldman Sachs exec. He's also, by the way, an XRP holder. He does think that XRP is going to pop up over $10 at some point, and he thinks that the favorable outcome regarding the SEC versus Ripple case could be a catalyst for that. And he tweeted out the following, referencing Ethereum. And part of what he's saying here is about Ethereum. There's the pre-merge crypto shake, as what he's calling this, and he's talking about Ethereum transferring to proof of stake, which is I think it's supposed to happen next month. I don't keep as up with in the news with that stuff, although I am an Ethereum holder. It's the first cryptocurrency I ever purchased in my entire life in November of 2017. But anyway, Raoul Pal said the following. As the market was dropping, he said, the old cheeky pre-merge crypto shakeout I see. I don't expect new lows, but most likely a gut check, quick drop, but let's see. New lows equals keep adding for me as 2-year risk reward gets really, really attractive. 50% downside versus possible 10x upside equals 20-to-1 risk reward. And so he gets this, obviously. Fine, things could go lower, but if you're talking about a 50% downside versus a 10-fold increase potential, which I think is the right way to look at this stuff in a general sense, that's why this is appealing. So that's why I said the same thing. If we do actually see new lows below 17,500, awesome. I will be very excited for that. Let me just say that. Now, for those of you looking at your screen, there's a chart from chart analyst Credible Crypto, and he wrote the following. And he's referencing where I'm circling the mouse right here, this green box, which is where we are right now. That's the range that we're in, which goes basically the $21,000 range up to, I don't know what, call it close to 22,000. Just say roughly from 21 to 22,000, something like that. But he says, not much of a reaction off local demand, and we have pushed straight down to my final target. At this point, it is very simple. High or low in the green box in structure is incredibly bullish. Tap $20,700 and it means we are still in a corrective structure off the lows at 17,500. And he's talking about Bitcoin there, of course. So for those of you looking at the screen, if we bottom out somewhere around here, that's a higher low compared to where I'm circling right here, for those of you looking at the screen. So it's bullish. He says it's incredibly bullish. That's a quote from him. So structure's intact if that happens. And that seems to be his anticipation. And then there was this from chart analyst Income Sharks. He wrote, Bitcoin, the plan doesn't change. The summer of chop continues. And he's fully expecting that there's going to be a midterm rally. So, of course, he's referencing the fact that in the United States there are midterm elections, and he's been citing data on his channel. I haven't really covered it out that I recall anyway. I've been reading all of it. I find it interesting. I just happen to have not covered it. But he says historically that when there's a midterm election, markets just kind of shoot to the upside for that. So he does think that at the end of this year, you're probably going to see, or maybe even beginning of next year, you're going to see Bitcoin up to about $40,000. And he thinks it'll then correct down before blasting off again. He's been very vocal and public about that. But it's just a summer of chop. He's been accumulating. His belief is that you're going to see notable moves to the upside, it's perhaps starting towards the end of this year. And then there is also this from the Daily Hodl. Bitcoin is flashing yellow flag as price moves sideways, warns crypto analytics firm Sentiment. And I don't really want to read the article, but I did want to highlight that what they were citing here is that there had been, especially given that Bitcoin in the world of crypto had been moving up in terms of price recently, there had been some increased profit taking by Bitcoin holders. And so 2 days ago, Sentiment was like, just a yellow flag, that's their term, indicating perhaps you could see a drop down, and then 2 days later you actually do. So it's not particularly scary. I just thought I'd highlight that. And then there's also this from the Daily Hodl. Bitcoin is currently cheap amid biggest oversold condition in years, says Fidelity macro expert. Here's why. And this is interesting here. I like this guy. We're talking about Jurrien Timmer. But the fact that something's oversold, it doesn't mean that it can't go lower. But even if it does, if you're talking about the opportunity to purchase in this range, that's where, for long-term people, for a lot of them anyway, I think it starts to look pretty appealing. Which is why, like I said, if it goes even lower than the most recent low at 17,500 for Bitcoin, and the rest of the market, the rest of crypto would be down too, that's where things get really exciting. I purchased a bunch of different cryptos at that point in large quantities. But anyway, piece reads as follows. A top executive at financial services giant Fidelity Investments believes that Bitcoin is currently a bargain. Fidelity's director of global macro, Jurrien Timmer, says that based on the thesis that Bitcoin price will rise as its network grows, the flagship crypto asset is looking cheap. And here's a quote from him. If you believe in Bitcoin's adoption curve thesis, i.e. that the network will continue to expand in line with previous S-curves, then it's reasonable to view Bitcoin as cheap at these levels. End quote. According to the macro expert, the price of Bitcoin is below the actual and projected growth of its network. And here's another quote from him. There's a chart on screen. For me, the main nuance is the slope of the adoption curve. Whether we use the mobile phone curve or internet curve as proxies, Bitcoin's price is below its actual and projected network growth curve. That curve provides a fundamental anchor for Bitcoin's price, end quote. Now, Timmer has previously explained that Bitcoin's adoption rate is likely to mirror that of mobile phones or internet technology. Using the analogy of Bitcoin as digital gold, Timmer says that the king crypto was massively oversold during the recent market downturn and has deviated from the trend when the two are compared side by side. And here's another quote from him. If Bitcoin is gold's precocious younger sibling, it makes sense to look at Bitcoin priced in gold, i.e. Bitcoin's beta to gold. Technically, the recent sell-off produced the biggest oversold condition in years, measured as the number of standard deviations from the trend. And there's a chart, Bitcoin gold ratio. It's on the screen. Now, the macro expert also says that amid the crypto downturn, the percentage of Bitcoin held for less than 3 months, which would be short-term holders, remains relatively unchanged, while the percentage of Bitcoin held for over 10 years, long-term holders, is rising. And here's a quote. Who is buying Bitcoin these days? Apparently not the tourists, the short-term holders. The percentage of Bitcoins held less than 3 months has barely budged lately, end quote. And then he later said, and this is another quote, but the number of hodlers keeps growing. The percentage of Bitcoin held for at least 10 years is now 13%. Now, I'll say this, for the Bitcoin held 10 years, how much of it is lost forever, though? I mean, not that it's still an interesting data point and it's still meaningful regardless. So it's still, even if it's lost forever, okay, well, it's just never going to get dumped on the market, fine. But man, 10 years, I think most people by this point would have taken some profit. And maybe some of them did anyway, I'm just saying. It's just an interesting topic. So look, for those that are long-term oriented and you just kind of understand the way that this is, the way that historically that the stock market has behaved, and we've got 13 years of history of the world of crypto, it just doesn't make sense to be scared here. That's my personal opinion. It doesn't mean things can't get worse, but again, even if they do, like, things don't get worse forever unless you think that the United States is going to cease to exist. That's where I live anyways. That's why I said the United States specifically. But do you really think that? No. I mean, economies eventually get better. You don't stay down literally forever. You'd be talking about the end if that's happening. And I'm not a doomsday guy. I don't think that makes logical sense. So I'm just going to keep playing the long game. And as long as you don't need to tap into these investments anytime soon, why care anyway? As long as you've got a job and you can cover your bills, who cares if temporarily your net worth is down? It just doesn't matter. That's how I look at this anyway. I'll wrap up here, though. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.